Senator Luján, then Senator Brown, then Senator Padilla.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to everyone that's here in person and also helping us electronically to be here today with the panelists. It's been a good discussion, one that I've appreciated and learned from. I want to take this back to what the Republican legislation that was passed this last week, which I think similar to 2017 when the American people dubbed the Trump tax policy as a tax scam that was promised to be targeting middle class and those aspiring to be in the middle class, to prioritize them. I mean, the proof is in the pudding, and everyone knows where that money went, and to the dissatisfaction of many constituents I represent. They were trying to figure out how to submit their taxes the next year because the withholding tables changed a little bit, and less was taken from their checks. But when April 15th came, they were thinking what happened last year was going to probably happen again, and it didn't. And it hurt their budgets. So I hope that when we talk about budgets, we also include the budgets of the people that we represent when we're talking about this. And with me saying that, I don't know if the chair knows or if any of you know, do you know how many U.S. senators went to Head Start? There's two. There's only 2 U.S. senators that went to Head Start. I'm one of them. Now, I think that if those programs would have been stronger in other parts of the country, colleagues would have benefited from them as well. But nonetheless, I bring that up because this Default on America Act that came through the House recently would dramatically reduce and eliminate investments in Head Start. I've heard economist after economist tell me that one of the greatest returns on a dollar is an investment in education in children. Dr. Zandi, does what I say hold true?
Yes, I mean, there's very strong academic research that shows that investments in young children, pay off enormously, not only for their financial well-being, but for the communities they live in and for the broader economy.
I appreciate you sharing that. I know that I benefited from this education, and I didn't realize until later in life what opportunity that I had that presented itself to my family. Not just that I was able to get a jump start, if you will, on those classes and socializing with other students, and the power of a nap. I think that America could learn something about that on occasion. But during those Head Start days to ensure that I could learn a little bit more. And look, we sometimes had a little lunch that would be available to us too to keep us nourished and keep us strong, which would help us learn more. But my parents also didn't need to find childcare for me when I was growing up, which let them stay in the workplace and work more. That sounds like good economic policy to me. And so what I wanted to raise, Mr. Chairman, was my concern associated with the devastating cuts that were listed in these programs in the area of early childhood education. But one other area I wanted to raise that's not been raised just yet is, as a reminder to all of us, the United States has a treaty obligation to tribal nations in America. That the United States has a horrible track record of meeting. The plan that came out of the House would devastate investments into tribal communities. A $1 billion cut to Indian Health Service, $60 million cut to the Bureau of Indian Affairs, $200 million cut to the Bureau of Indian Education. And I certainly hope that we're having this conversation as all this moves forward. Now, when I was elected to the U.S. House of Representatives in 2008, I proudly supported PAYGO, a simple policy that was instituted in 2006 that was moved forward through 2008, and then it was erased. The majorities changed, and it went away. But that's a pretty simple policy that I think that everyone across America can understand. If you're going to buy something, you got to pay for it. And so while I'm not as smart as all the folks that I learned from. I know that. I think that's a strength of mine. I surround myself with smart people. But I also understand simple concepts. And if we can go back to, there's an acronym, I'll leave the last S off. But if you can keep it simple and we can all come together and do some things, we can make things better. And so, Mr. Chairman, I apologize for my approach to some of this, but I think sometimes we just need to step into the shoes of the people that we represent and try to communicate in a way that complex policy takes them into consideration when we have to make these really tough decisions. I thank you for the time. I yield back.
No apology needed, Senator Luján. You have a very important voice.